On this episode, it's another installment of our Journey into Imagination content creator series, and today we learn more about Sam from Sam's Disney Diary. Today is February 16th, 2024. This is episode 642 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and while I'm not joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda, today, I will soon be joined by my new friend, Sam. Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. You can also now find us on TikTok at MSM Podcast. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. If you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, you get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. If you're planning a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World, you did not get the advanced dining reservations you so desperately wanted, have no fear because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. And if you're getting ready to plan that next Disney World, Disneyland, Universal trip, maybe a cruise, or pretty much anywhere in the world, head to mainstmagictravel.com and fill out a form for a free quote. Our travel services are completely free to you. So Sam Marraccini sees the Walt Disney World and Disney parks as the one location where his entire family can find something to smile about. The few pictures from his original trip in 1986 have turned into thousands of photos today, all loaded with family memories. No matter the age or who you're with, you can always find an adventure at the Disney parks. This all led Sam to sharing those adventures with just about anyone who would ask. That passion led him to create Sam's Disney Diary. Let's welcome Sam to Journey into Imagination. Sam, welcome to the Main Street Magic Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are fairly new friends, so I'm really excited to learn a lot about you today.
Same here, man. This is going to be awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so we like to start off this Journey into Imagination series with two questions that every single
Journey into
guest
Imagination.
gets.
I like that.
It's pretty
Figment?
good, right? Yeah, I think I came up with it. I'm not sure.
Figment
Right?
1981. There you go. Those are the first two questions. We're good.
Done.
Let's go.
But no, going back. Hey, let's go back. Where does your love of Disney and the Disney parks come from? Where did that all stem from?
Oh, it stemmed from a trip when I was a youngster. I was, I was in high school because, look, I live in the North, and it took a lot to get to vacation for a week in Florida. That was a big deal. And I had younger siblings and couldn't go until they were old enough to remember. And so by the time I got there, I was a teenager. And quite honestly, it was Magic Kingdom, and Epcot was relatively new. It wasn't all that old. And I just remember wanting to get the heck out of Epcot and go back to Magic Kingdom because that's where my mindset was at that point. Yeah. Where's Space Mountain? There's nothing here to ride. What are all these countries? This is crazy. Meanwhile, I look back at myself and want to kick myself in the butt and say, go on Horizons again. Go to World of Motion again, man. But who knew, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny because my first trip was in 87. I was not quite a teenager, and we went to Epcot, and I don't remember anything because I was only 7 or 8 at the time.
Got it.
So I remember pictures and footage, and I just had our friends that went with us, their son, who's around my age, found about 30 minutes of old. I mean, I don't know if it was VHS or beta in a giant.
Yeah, it was big old VHS camera. My dad was carrying it around.
Yeah, so he had it digitized and sent it to me, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, I went to Epcot when I was that age. I didn't even know."
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Look, what's that behind me? Oh my gosh, is that Dreamfinder? Are you kidding me?
I know. Same thing, same trip. I'm going through. This is like, I mean, it's 1987 home footage, exactly what you expect it to look like. It's awful.
Sure.
But next pops up is River Country. I had no idea until a year ago that I ever went to River Country.
You had gone to River Country as a youngster and had no idea. That's pretty cool.
It's insane.
No, I cannot say that I made it there. We did not. We stayed off site. I got to Wet and Wild.
There you go.
Soon to be Epic Universe, but that's a whole nother story. Yeah. We don't need to go there. But look, that's where my love for the park started. If there's anything I remember in Epcot, it was some of the innovations, things that they have, and just looking at the future and what we were going to get and the video phones, and that's the stuff that fascinated me. And it led to Epcot sort of dating itself right away, right? Epcot's always chasing itself, always trying to predict the future, which is why they've done things like go to Guardians of the Galaxy, because you're not chasing the future when you do that,
Yeah.
or kind of change the way that you imagine things. That's what started my love for this, and it's just continued. And then as I have children, I've taken them and take my camera, and I started recording videos. And look, I was the guy that came home and would, check out this video, put the tape in, like you just said, and watch the videos that I recorded, and people would love it. And there were some people would connect, other people thought I was crazy. But that's what led to YouTube. And hey, let's go ahead and do a YouTube channel. Let's blog once a month, see what I can come up with, and dig into the history to find out what made these things tick and learn about the people that did it. That's what's always been fascinating to me.
Yeah, well, that's perfect because it tees up what my next question was, why did you get into content creation? You kind of answered that, but let's talk a little bit then about how did you get into content creation from the fact that here you're going from just park videos and then you realizing that, hey, yeah, how do I do the research? How do I edit? How do I get these online? How do I start a YouTube channel? Is this just all stuff you taught yourself? Like what took you from point A to point B where you're at now doing these incredible YouTube videos?
There has to be an inspiration somewhere, right? So it went from, and by the way, I look back at those videos I did 15 years ago and I kind of cringe when I see some of them because you learn so much. But at the same time, if you wait, you'll never do it.
Yeah.
You just have to do it, right? Just put it on YouTube. This is it. And for me, there was an inspiration 15, 16 years ago where we went to San Francisco, family vacation, and we went by the Disney Family Museum. And walking through that Disney Family Museum was moving. You walk through it, it's all about Walt. It's about Walt's life. And what I love about it is it tells the story that Disney doesn't tell. Right? The Disney company does a great job of telling Walt's story, but they leave a lot of things out that you get to see in the Family Museum. The World War II, the strike, the writer's strike, and all the things that happened that impacted him, that sent him different directions. But then you walk through it and you get to the end, and it's the newspapers announcing the passing of Walt Disney, and all of the papers from around the world with all these different cartoons, and it's so touching and so emotional. And I went back to the car and I had the video camera, which was a small one. I probably had a CD in it, or one of the mini DVDs at the time.
I remember those.
And I got one of my kids who wasn't that. I'm like, here, hold this camera. And I just started talking. And it's the first Sam's Disney Diary video. It's the first one. And I'm like, just went through the Family Museum, no video inside it, but it's emotional. It's touching. You should go and see it. And that's when I did it. And from there, it was, okay, I'm going to do one a month. I'll do 12 a year, a blog, do some research. I dug into things like the Country Bears Jamboree, which recently has become a timely topic because of it moving to something new. But then you start to dig into the history, and you learn about the Imagineers that pulled this thing together, and Mark Davis, and building this show for a resort that Walt was going to build in the forest, and it didn't happen. And then they needed something for Magic Kingdom because there was nothing in Frontierland. It was the shooting gallery and a boat and Country Bears Jamboree. And it's kind of cool the way that all ties together. So
yeah,
there was a lot I just said right there. I know.
No, but I love it. And it's one of those things that when you have the casual Disney vacationer go, they don't have the appreciation for something like Country Bear Jamboree because they don't have the history. And I think anybody who is doing research to go on a Disney vacation, it becomes so much more than, where do we eat? How do you use Genie Plus? Where do you stay? All those things.
That's the unfortunate reality of today.
When, if people would go and watch your channel, if they would listen to podcasts, if they would take in so much more of this, I think they could appreciate the vacation so much more for what it truly is. Right.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I had a couple of things on VHS that I have since converted over, and some of them are on YouTube. Some of them aren't on YouTube because YouTube has restricted them, but you'll find the blog about them and alternate links to watch those videos.
Yeah.
But one of them that I love is the Disney Family albums. It's a playlist out there, but it's a series of 20 45-minute long episodes that originally aired on the Disney Channel in the 80s. And it highlighted it highlighted an Imagineer or a person or a personality. Nat Funicello was one of them. But in it, there are 6 of Walt's 9 old men. And they were still alive in the 80s when they did these interviews. They were elderly, but they spoke of working with Walt. It is such a time capsule. And that's where you'll hear Mark Davis talk about oh, yeah, we did this attraction and we did that attraction. And Milt Kahl and some of these guys that you might not know did things. It just will blow your mind. Ward Kimball, a great example. I love of trains. Walt's train set is because of Ward Kimball and what he had done. And by the way, as a youngster, when I grew up, every Christmas we had a train set that we set up, a little HO half bow scale, and you set it up and you made it different every year. And when you put some of this realization together, you realize that Disneyland is Walt's train set. Yeah. He built a train that encircles his play set in his area where he puts these different attractions. And that's why he said it will always change, because you look at your train set and you go, oh, I don't want that building to be there. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to put it over here and I'm going to put something else there. And which is why, by the way, favorite attraction, the train.
Yeah.
Just, it's an original. That's what Walt built. And Disneyland is his train set. It's a place where you get away from reality and you can just enjoy the family and things going on around you.
Incredible. Do you love all things history, or is it really focused on like Disney? Are you a history buff?
So I like history in general, okay. But I really dig into the Disney history aspects and digging into it's cool when you can start to connect the dots and sort of the light bulbs go off, like, oh, the World's Fair and the timing of the World's Fair with other things that were happening at the same time. And you see how the company came together and the fact that Walt's building things for the 64-65 World's Fair that end up being attractions inside of Disneyland. But at the same time, he's looking at land in Florida, right? And he's only around until 1966, and all these things are happening at the same time. Yeah. And you look at it and go, how did he pull this all off? It's crazy.
It is. It's absolutely fascinating. I love that you have such an affinity for the history and all. Well, I've already learned so much about you, but are you ready for the hat? Because this is where
you do, and you have a hat. It is a physical hat. I love that. And there's something inside of it.
Yeah, it's I got this at Animal Kingdom Lodge the first time we ever stayed there, and I wore it all weekend, and I've never worn it since because it's honestly it's not practical. It's a straw hat. So I've got a whole bunch of different questions in here. Let's pick some out, and I'll watch the time and all because I do want to be respectful of your overall time. But and then we can just have a little discussion on some of these. So
sure. So we see what happens, what you pull out of there.
Yeah. So first one coming up. You're given the keys to Disney World. What are you doing for 24 hours?
What am I gonna do at Disney World for 24 hours? I am going to the utilidors and just checking things out.
There you go.
That's the first thing that comes to mind. I want to see how this thing works. The stuff that you can't see otherwise. That's assuming it's an all access. You have the key.
Definitely.
Now, otherwise, I'm just riding some attractions and I'm knocking things out, and hopefully someone's going to have a restaurant open for me that I can pick from.
Right.
But I mean, utilidors, the images that you've seen, the trash collection systems, the things that they've done to make it what it is today. Yeah. It's just amazing to me. So that's where my mind immediately goes. I want to go behind the scenes. Wow. I want to go behind the carousel progress.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see and I know people have been there. Oh yeah, there's nothing to see there, but no, I want to see it. I want to see the pirates from the back in Pirates of the Caribbean. I want to, might ruin some of the illusion, but that's okay. I want to see the hydraulics and how simple it really is. And the fact that fire is just a fan and a piece of paper and a red light. It's crazy, but it really looks so darn good.
Yeah. Yeah, we did Keys to the Kingdom. It's been a while now. We think we did it about 6 or 7 years ago. And I just remember at the beginning, the tour guide saying, just so you know, this could potentially ruin some of the magic. That's why it has an age limit on it. And at the end of it, I was like, that just increased every bit of the magic that it possibly could. Yeah,
absolutely the same with me. This is just wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm coming with you. They did it. Hopefully, there's 2 keys because I'm going to follow you along.
That's right, I love it.
All right. I don't know if you're a music fan.
Oh, but you got another one. You pulled another out of the hat.
Okay. Another out of the hat. So if you're a music fan, if you could see any band, past, present, play Garden Rocks or Eat to the Beat, who would it be?
Oh, like a band that has played it, or
no? Any band like that's either past or present.
Oh my
God! You either bring them back or you're like, hey. I've got
Oh
all the
my
money in the world to throw at this band. Here's who I'm bringing
gosh,
to the concert series.
my mind is all over the map. My musical tastes are all over genres everywhere.
Okay.
But being a child of the 80s, who would I bring back? So many I've seen so many times. Yeah, I'll tell you who I want to see because I never had the opportunity to see him. I'm bringing Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's who I'm bringing. And I'm going through my mind a bunch of bands, but no, I saw them. And Tom Petty is who I'm going with.
That's
Absolutely.
outstanding. I saw, I don't know what year it would have been. I saw him at Meriwether Post Pavilion up in
Nice.
Columbia, Maryland.
Very nice.
But we had lawn seats, so we were way in the back.
That's okay.
We were young, so I don't even know how much attention we were paying to it. But that would be amazing because there's that Garden Rocks Theater. It's just so intimate, and it's just so incredible to see bands. Even I've found bands that I didn't even really think I liked that I've gone by and been like, oh.
Yeah,
I like this now.
Night Ranger was awesome there. Recently, in fact, there's quite a few videos. I started posting them just because you know what, I have them. Why do I have them? Because I'm walking by when the concert's going on. So
yeah,
Christopher Cross was really good there.
Oh, I've heard that. I've got friends that are Christopher Cross fans that go see him every
it
time.
was so good, and I didn't expect it to be good, but it was. Garden Rocks. Who did I see there? I'm looking real quick here.
One of the most impressive ones to me that I didn't know that I liked was actually Plain White Tees. I thought the only song I knew was Hey There Delilah, and I happened to be walking by and I'm like, I know this song. Let me stick around. I was like, I know this song and this song and this song, and they were outstanding.
Survivor, saw them there. That was great. John Anderson, yes, that was good.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, there's some really good ones.
Yeah. But I love that you're just, grabbing videos too, because you're thinking about the content and what potentially could you use that for later, for your channel or social media.
That's right, because you never know. In fact, I have so many things that I want to do. I'm looking now. Baha Men. The Baha Men actually picked it up and liked it and tweeted it, which is really cool. Wow. 38 Special. That was another really good one.
Okay. So this isn't a hat question or anything, just following off of that. How do you, or when do you organize content? Like, so for example, you've got all of these, you just say, maybe videos, short videos, whatever they may, of different Garden Rocks, Eat to the Beat. How are you holding on to those? And do you have a system where all of a sudden you go, all right, it is Garden Rocks is coming up and Night Ranger is playing again. I know that I have videos from last year, which was this month around this date. Like, what's your process for that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'll use last month as an example because it was the Festival of the Arts. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Flower and Garden Festival is coming up in a couple of weeks, and my intention is to get down there for a few days to collect as much content as I can. Yeah. So what I'll do is between my 4K Panasonic camcorder, which I'm still using because 1 terabyte SD card, because 50 frames per second, all those things, a huge battery, but I'm also using my phone at the same time to take pictures and collect content. So after that content's collected, I'll basically organize it into, okay, this is the 2024 Festival of the Arts assets. 01 is the art. 02 is Art Defying Gravity. 03 is Raffi, who was playing Canada. 04 is Don Black, who's the saxophone guy. And just I'll end up with a dozen different folders that are something, and then just eventually go back and edit those and turn them into something that's good. Occasionally there's something that's timely that you want to turn around right away. Yeah. I don't live in Florida. I live in the North, so I'm very lucky to be able to get there and collect content. So it comes out when it comes out. Yeah. That's the way I look at it.
Well, and one of the things I think I'm starting to learn as we start to do a lot more content outside of just the podcast is that certainly being timely matters. If, Festival of the Arts is so short, you do want to get information out there for people.
It is.
But at the same time, I'm starting to find it's a lot more in how it's presented, as to just the standard, here's your food, here's your art, it's the way that it's being presented, which you do an absolutely incredible job of. So even if it isn't like, this came out today, I got to have a video this afternoon, and it comes out a couple days later, that the way that you're able to put it out there in your own personality, your own voice, will often get people so much more excited about it than being the first person to put it out. You know what I mean?
And I do know what you mean. And part of that is my thought of being the viewer.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to have your camera and record something and post it on a social platform someplace. It's another thing to sort of describe where you are or what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. I'm in the Canadian Pavilion. Raffi is a band from Montreal. They have 5 albums that they've released. Most of them are native language in French, and you can buy their albums at their website and check them out on Instagram, and they're all over the place. And here's one of their sets. So it kind of sets it up a little bit and gives a little context of what's going on.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do, because that's what I would want to watch.
Right.
Let's be honest. That's why I do it. Other than, oh, who's this? What's the deal? Okay, that's kind of cool. Or Julia Shagar, who's right now in Germany, right? The German singing voice of Belle from the German voiceover of the singing voice. She's singing in Germany right now on the stage. Nobody knows it.
Right.
There's a Disney princess performing in Germany right now during Festival of Arts.
And nobody knows it. That's
outstanding.
It. Yeah, I love all your attention to detail. We are going to go back to the hat for our next question.
Back to the hat, man.
Who would you like to see take over as CEO after Bob Iger?
Oh, that's a great question, because I think it's wide open.
Yeah.
I'd like to get someone from the outside, honestly. Yeah. I'd like to see someone come into Disney. There's a lot going on in the themed entertainment business. There's a lot of issues at Disney that Bob is fixing, or at least appears to be fixing or righting the ship. But where do you go next? You have to have an attention to the parks. You have to have an attention to the competition. That's a hard question to ask, because I think it needs to be an outsider.
Yeah.
I really do. You need somebody to come in and do things differently. Bob was awesome. Look, I look back at the CEOs, excluding paycheck, but go back to Eisner.
Yeah.
Right. We wouldn't have studios or the Epcot Resorts area if it wasn't for Michael Eisner. That was his vision. And at the end, maybe he didn't pull it off right, but look at that legacy he left.
Right.
Bob Iger has acquired Star Wars and Pixar and 20th Century Fox and Marvel, and has just created this company that's amazing. Where do you take it from here? That's the question.
Yeah. No, I think it's an outstanding answer. And I think it is such a hard question to
I want somebody to do things different. I don't want the same old, because I think they're going to get a wake-up call in Florida. They're going to get a wake-up call in other places. And I think they will. But I've liked what they've done to the parks here recently.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. It's going to be interesting, because some of these other questions might touch on a few of those things that you just.
All right. Yeah. Back into the hat. Into the hat.
This one you kind of already answered a little bit, so we'll move on to something a little bit different here, if I can open the paper. Okay, let's just say this is a perfect follow-up. I know you want things to be shaken up, new CEO. You're made the next CEO of Disney. What is the first thing you focus on, or the first thing that you do? And that can be just, Walt Disney World Company as a whole.
I can touch on a couple of personal things. Bring back the ESPN Club, damn it.
Yeah, there we go. Bravo.
That is, I scratch my head at that. I don't understand what they did over there. There's no place to go watch a football game.
I know.
I have snuck out of Epcot many a time to watch something at ESPN Club, then sneak back in. But I think there's something big going on with sports. I mean, Disney just talked about it, and the fact that there's a new streaming service coming out. It's Disney along with, I forget the other companies, but they're coming up with something new. There's definitely something that needs to happen with ESPN.
Yeah.
I don't think, everybody says, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that at Disney. I don't think that's true. I think it all needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
Why could you not have an ESPN zone someplace that's a sports betting complex? You absolutely could. You're not going to put it in the Magic Kingdom,
right?
But you could put it at Springs. You could put it someplace else. I think that draws an audience. There are tons of properties that I think are underutilized, but I also think that Disney's in an interesting spot, because they need to do what draws the audiences and gets people to the parks. And sometimes that's not what us, the diehard fans, want.
Yeah.
Right. I would love to see more Muppets, but I think that you and I, and those listening to this podcast are in the minority. right? And I think that's clear when you see Tiana coming into Magic Kingdom, when you see the properties that are being added. If Encanto comes to Animal Kingdom, which looks like it's going to happen, that's because it's drawing young families with audiences that are paying money, and it's for those audiences, right? Not necessarily for us.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I love if you were CEO, that's your slogan is bring back ESPN. And then I mean, and then not that Big River Grill was that great, but you could go at the bar and watch sports. It was an option to go and sit and watch
now
sports
your best
there.
bet now is Martha's Vineyard, by the way. If you're at Epcot and you need to sneak out, Martha's Vineyard has a couple of but it's got to be a national game.
Right.
They don't have a package to get every football game. If it's a national game, it'll be on TV there.
Yeah.
But there's other things that need done down there too, but that's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, okay, outside of CEO, if you could have one Disney job maybe even at Walt Disney World, what would it be? What would you like to do if you were a cast member at Disney World?
Wow.
These are the hard-hitting questions.
These are hard-hitting questions because there's so many places, and I think every job would be awesome, but man, I got to hand it to the cast members that have done things for decades.
Yeah.
Right. To do the same thing for decades, you really got to like your job, and kudos to them. And they're the best, and they are what makes Disney Disney. For myself, I think I'd like to work Rise of Resistance. I'd like to be on the Death Star there.
Yeah.
Or on the Star Destroyer.
Yeah. Be one of the people taking the guests into the interrogation room.
One of those 3 jobs at Disney that you don't have to smile.
Yeah.
Which is Tower of Terror, Haunted Mansion, and working on the Star Destroyer.
Yep.
That would be interesting, but at the same time, driving a friendship boat wouldn't be all that bad of a gig.
Yeah.
Right. Just hanging out and taking people where they need to go.
I think that sounds pretty incredible. I mean, most of those are the ones I always think of, like, and I know that there can be horrible guests at Disney.
Oh, I'm sure.
There can be horrible guests anywhere you go.
That's
but
right. Those
front-facing, customer service kind of jobs where you're getting to interact with people every day and the families, I think would just be so much fun. And still, from all our cast member friends, it's still 90% incredible interactions to 10% that one person that's having a bad day. They were confused about something, and they take it out on.
How about the mayor of Main Street? I could do that too. They still have the mayor of Main Street in the morning.
Yeah,
that's one thing I do miss too. The morning show.
Yeah,
was amazing. I used to love that morning show and getting up early, and the mayor or the fire chief would come out and good morning. So that's one of the things that I have a video of, and it was just something that I captured. And if you look for Magic Kingdom Welcome Show, it's out there, and that's something I captured years ago, not knowing it was going away.
That's incredible. I'm looking that one up as soon as we get off.
Same thing, by the way. Star Wars weekends, same thing. Man, I miss those.
Yeah.
Star Wars weekends. Bring those back. Put those on the list right after ESPN Club.
Yeah, there you go. How do you feel about the live action Disney remakes? That can be a touchy subject, a hot topic sometimes.
It can be. And look, it's all about storytelling, right? That's what Walt always said, right? Any of those classics, Cinderella, Peter Pan, go down the list. They're classic novels, Snow White the same way. Classic novels that he's turned into animated classics. I don't like retelling the same story.
Yeah.
That's where my head is. I don't mind the live action. That's fine, whatever. But you're telling the same story again. I mean, we know how that one ends, and I can't get excited to go and see it. So I haven't seen a lot of those.
Okay.
Definitely not in the theaters. I've watched them on Disney Plus, but I haven't gone to theaters for them because to me, it's the same story.
Yeah.
Right. I've seen Beauty and the Beast. I know how that one ends. I know I could be in the minority because I wanted to see the pageantry, and that's fine. Go for it. But I just think there's so many original stories that can be told.
And do you, and coming from obviously a fan of Disney and movies standpoint, how do you feel about then when some of the original stories that are trying to be told fall flat? I mean, and again, do you think it has to do with Disney marketing? Does it have to do with the audience? Like I'm thinking of something like A Strange World, or Wish. I mean, Disney's pushed everything into Wish. I personally haven't seen it yet. I've heard great things about it.
Nor have I. But I haven't seen it either. I'll see it on Disney Plus.
And that's an original story. So you're
right.
And I can't figure out what it is. I can't figure it out if it's the audience and they do want familiarity sometimes, or
Sometimes.
is it the marketing? Because a lot of the marketing for the stuff that has not done well has done poorly, as it obviously would. A lot of the stuff that went straight to Disney Plus, they're now putting back into theater releases
Yeah,
that
well,
were
some of
all
that
original stories.
some of that because of COVID, and they never
Yeah,
got the theater release they needed. But
it's
it's a
interesting.
it's a touchy subject, and I'm going to be in the parks, and we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
There
that
you
cool?
go.
Mhm.
All right. Do you want a fifth gate at Walt Disney World? And if so, what would it be?
So I want them to fix the gates they have, and what I
Agreed.
mean by
Thank you.
that is the Hollywood Studios is completely different than MGM Studios was.
Mhm.
It is a different park. It's completely different. It's no longer how they make movies. It's about putting you into the movies, even though it's still the Hollywood that always was, but never will be. But there's so many things in that park that I miss. Sid Karingas and the prop truck, and so much of the storyline when you walk into there. You used to go down past ABC Commissary, and there was a guard shack, and you could look inside the shack and see the guard had left his hood there, and he left the gate up, and his clothes were still hanging up in there, and that was the signification that you were going backstage, the commissary, and back to where they were making movies instead of being on stage. But they've changed that. I think that they've fixed some of it. Although some people will argue that Studio still is not a full day park.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom needs some love. We know that's next with Dino Land, with those sorts of things. I love what they've done to Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
World Celebration Garden is amazing.
Yeah.
The transformation of Epcot took a lot longer than we thought. Blame COVID, whatever, it doesn't matter. But where we are today at the beginning of 2024, it is completely different. And I love what they've done to Epcot. So as far as I'm concerned, Epcot and Magic Kingdom are fixed. They're awesome. They're perfect.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom and Studios still need a little love before they're ready for a fifth gate, because I think you're going to dilute things at that point. I also think that well, number one, the Ultimate Fan Event, which is the new expo that's coming in August, that's when we're going to hear what's coming.
Yeah.
Right. Because the last thing we know big that's coming is Tiana. And this morning, Mardi Gras, we learned that it's going to be this summer, Tiana's opening. And then in August is the new Fan Expo. That's when we should get the download of everything that they expect to do in the next few years. I can't wait to see that. I'm expecting Animal Kingdom to be in there. I'm hoping to hear something about what's beyond Big Thunder. Not that Magic Kingdom needs more things, but by all means do it. And then we'll see what else happens. Is there a new country in the horizon? Who knows? We hear about Brazil every year, right?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen or not?
Yeah. I agree with you completely. I like the idea of continuing to build out things
We
like
got
Animal
to
Kingdom.
fix what's there. There's anytime you have someone say that there's a half day park, whether it's Animal Kingdom when everybody's leaving at 3 p.m, or look, Hollywood Studios. I get friends to this day. They do their, like you were talking before, they do their Genie Plus. They line everything up, and at 2:00 they're done.
Yeah.
Like we did everything. We got here early. We got on Guardians right away. We rode Slink Dog. We did Muppets. We did the Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster. What else are we gonna do? Well, there's a couple other things, but Toy Story Mania or whatever. But you can be done by 4 o'clock.
Yeah, for sure. And I think something else that the average person doesn't think about is, if you think that ticket costs are rising now, imagine having a fifth gate and a fifth park. What that would do to annual passes, what that would do to multi-day tickets. I mean, we're going to get a little idea in 2025 when Epic opens and what that does to Universal, but
it's true.
Those costs will just be unbelievable if you add that fifth gate. Not that they aren't going to go up every year when they're adding new things and you get Cosmic and Tron and Tiana, but not nearly adding an entire fifth park, which, by the way, at Disney's current construction rates, coming out of COVID, who knows how long it would take. So maybe we wouldn't even see it in our lifetime at this point.
I think there's too many other things that need to get fixed first.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, you got an entire Star Cruiser sitting over there doing nothing. Come on, Disney, do something.
I know. Well, these are actually falling pretty well in place, these questions.
Next question.
How concerned do you think Disney actually is about Epic Universe opening?
They will never admit any concern whatsoever. They will never admit any. But there is somebody there watching.
Yeah.
There's definitely somebody there watching. They will be watching numbers. They will see if things change. Do I think things will change? No, I don't. Magic Kingdom and Epcot are going to keep being the two biggest parks in Florida. Studios and Animal Kingdom, maybe they slip down a little bit. I mean, that's what they're going to watch,
Mhm.
right? How are those two going to fare? I don't think Magic Kingdom or Epcot has any problem.
Yeah.
It's the other two.
That's such a
And that's
perfect
why they're
answer.
not going to have a fifth gate.
Right.
Why would you have a fifth gate if you got it? If your competition passes two of your parks up, and let's just say that this new Epic Universe ends up being number three in Orlando, or who knows, maybe two. And I'm assuming behind Magic Kingdom and Epcot. If it lands there at three, that means it passed up two of your places. You
Yeah.
need to do some work on those two.
Oh, yeah. All right. Why do you think that there are people that just are not Disney people?
You know, there's it it doesn't bother me at all. It is what it is. I have lots of people tell me all the time, I can't believe you're going there again.
Yep.
Is what it is. I just think that there's an experience that happens when you round the corner in Magic Kingdom and see the castle down Main Street. There's a feeling that you get, that a Disney fan gets, that just like takes them away. It's almost religious to some extent. In fact, I've heard it compared to that before.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And that doesn't happen for everybody. And that's okay. If it doesn't happen for you, it doesn't. To me, it's more for me, more for us, those of us that are fans. And there are people that just won't, for whatever reason. Maybe it's, oh, it's childish or whatever. I don't think that whatsoever. So,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm not going to try to recruit them. It's up to them. Whatever you want to do.
Well, and I think it's so interesting because, again, Disney's always going to have that target on their back for many reasons. I mean,
Yes.
there's a ton.
They're the big
we
one.
could have a whole
Mhm.
whole episode on just the reason that Disney has a target on their back. The same reason that sports teams do. And the same reason the Chiefs do right now.
Absolutely. You
Is
win too
because
much.
they're the best. But it is just so funny because you don't have to explain yourself if you're a big fan of almost anything else in the world. If all you want to do is twice a month go to the beach, like, I don't get it. But there's not a target. I just find it fascinating that
Yeah, you're right.
It's
Because
odd to be
it's
such
kind
a
of the
Disney
same thing.
fan. Yeah,
Yeah. Just love to go. I love it. That's all
Yeah.
I can say.
yeah. All
I don't know how else to
right.
put it. When I'm there, I'm just in a different place. Everything goes away. I'm not worried about anything.
Yes, yeah, and that's the magic of it.
That's right.
I'm going to kind of almost do this in maybe two questions because I don't know what
Uh-oh.
your answer will be. But what's the most difficult thing about being a content creator? And then I kind of want to tag on to that. How do you balance your work life when you're at the parks? How do you balance being a content creator and still enjoying being at Disney World?
That's a great question. So there's two questions you asked there, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to answer the second one first.
Okay.
You definitely need to separate when you're there for vacation versus there to collect content. For me personally, it got to the point where my kids are like, "Dad, why you got your camera out again?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that again?" And that's when you got to, you know what? Enough with the screens. Put it in my pocket. I'm gonna enjoy some time with the family, and we're just gonna see what's going on here.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to do that. Now, how do I balance it otherwise? When I go down for the first couple of days of the Flower and Garden Festival, I'm gonna be by myself.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be me, and it's gonna be content and content and content. It's gonna be open the app, which by the way used to be the times guide, and I'd circle the times on the things that I'd want to go to. And I missed that, by the way,
Yeah.
being able to do that. So it's go in with a little piece of paper, a little notepad, and write down it. At 1 o'clock, I'm going to be in Germany recording whatever. At 3 o'clock, I'm going to Mexico. At 5 o'clock, I'm going to be here. At 6 o'clock, I'm going to be here, and I will write it down and just stick to that and go and record and leave myself time to grab something to eat. And then when I get back, oh, look, there's 8 different things inside that asset folder that you created. So, okay, now you got 8 things to edit.
Yeah.
Which keeps me busy back home.
Yeah. That's perfect. I mean, I'm taking mental notes and
the biggest challenge is consistency, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't. Look, during COVID, I was doing a video a day, but that was a lot of digging things out of my archive and putting things together. And it was COVID, wasn't a lot going on.
Right.
And the channel grew considerably because of that daily content. But look, I got a day job. I got a family. I don't have time to do that. I'd love to do that. And those that do, I think sometimes the quality sacrifices. So if I do 3 a week, awesome. That's a great day. It is what it is. A great week.
Well, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize is that the majority of us all have day jobs.
Yeah.
You know,
This doesn't pay very well.
Yeah. It's probably the hardest thing about being a content creator.
That's right.
But I think that is kind of one of the things. And we talk about that a lot. And I mean, you know, the average listener knows we have day jobs because we talk about them on the podcast. We're just, you know, Ron and I are very open book about our daily life and, you know, what goes on with our families and kids and stuff. It's just something we kind of decided to do. But it's understandable that a lot of people want to protect that. But it is something that, you know, Rhonda will get it a lot. And she works her butt off. And people say, like, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, you're going back to Disney?
Yeah.
You know, that must be really nice. You know, that's neat. How come you get to go so often? And it is neat. It's really cool. But there is a whole other side to it that I think a lot of people don't realize. And they do think like, wow, you're making a living off of podcasting and doing social media?
No, not at all.
It's complete opposite of that.
Complete opposite of that. I do it because I love it.
Yes, exactly.
Look, if you're trying to do it because you think you can make money, you're in the wrong business.
Yep.
There's a lot of other things that you're going to make more money doing than this because you're not gonna.
Well, and it's funny because that's the first thing I say because I'll have a lot of people contact me about podcast like consultation, and the first thing I say is, "Are you doing this to make money?" And if they say yes, I'll be like, okay, well then I wouldn't do it, or you can
don't
find
do
somebody
it
else
because you're not gonna.
No.
I'm not making money doing this. I'm losing money.
It's a labor of love. And
that's right.
And it's a labor of putting that information out to other people so that they can enjoy their trip because they're not as fortunate to go as often as we get to. So, you know,
I'd like to do more of that. I'd like to do more of trip planning and things to do, but my challenge is because I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm not as up to date because things change almost daily down there.
So often.
I mean, this whole new good to go days, right? But I'm still telling people back here because they're asking me, well, where do I go? These good to go days. And I'm like, get your park reservation. Yeah. Because you got to have a park reservation if you want to get your Guardians or your light cycle run a virtual queue. You have to have it. If you don't have your daily reservation, you can't log in and get it. That right there is reason enough. If you're up north and you're planning a trip, get your park reservation for the day you want it. Don't count on good to goes.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. I had a friend call me earlier because she's going Saturday and she just wanted clarification on park hopping again and getting virtual queues and all that. And I'm like, I know this answer, but just give me a minute because I have to make sure I'm right. I did this a week ago when we were there. Yeah. But I still have to make sure that I'm right. I'm like, it changes. What day is it? Okay, let's see. So it's
all day park hopping. Oh, that is gorgeous, dude. I love it. Coming down from the north, look, there's a day coming up here in March when I'm going to be in Orlando for a conference. And I will spend a day getting to all 4 parks as fast as I can because I can. Yes. Just to go take pictures and see what's new and check things out. And I'm working, but if I couldn't do park hopping all day long, I couldn't get all 4 parks in.
Oh, I know. I forget where we were the other day. I think we were at Magic Kingdom in the morning, and we just went for Tiana's beignets. And it was probably
how are those, by the way? That's a new limited time thing, right?
Yeah, so they're for Celebrate Soulfully for Black History Month this month. They're delicious. They're not beignets. It's much more like a deep fried cronut.
Okay.
And then covered in powdered sugar and has a strawberry sauce. They're delicious. It's not a beignet. Like if you want more true to New Orleans beignets, even though they're not quite the same, like go over to Port Orleans, go to Scats Cats, something like that. I would.
They're still not the same, but they're closer.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, that's cool. And hopefully that's part of whatever new restaurants are going to come up after that ride opens.
I know. I'm very excited for that. You got time for a few more?
Sure.
Okay. This is fun.
Sure. Why not?
All right. You kind of mentioned this earlier. I did. There's a lot. You kind of mentioned this earlier, but which Disney IP that currently is not in the parks do you want to see brought to life and how? So I know you mentioned the Muppets.
The Muppets are in and out of the parks. They're just something that I always liked just from being a kid. What other IP do I think should be there? There's a lot of IPs that are missing from the parks. Wow. That's a tough one. Muppets come to mind early. I'm thinking of some movies. I'll date myself when I say things like Robin Hood should be better represented in the parks, but that's dating myself, and I understand that.
But there's things like Robin Hood that have a cult following.
Absolutely there are. So it gets back to that fandom versus the general public, right?
Exactly.
That's like when when Darkwing Duck comes back or
Right.
Launchpad comes back. Everybody goes crazy, but you only go crazy if you watched them on cartoons Saturday morning in the 90s. That's why you go crazy.
Yeah.
Same with Robin Hood. You only watch that if you were watching movies in the 70s, right? That's what it's Robin Hood and Aristocats and those kinds. So maybe Aristocats or even 101 Dalmatians. There's not a big that sort of generation of cartoons is where my head is, and I think it's underrepresented in the parks.
Yeah. So I didn't realize, and maybe this is just common knowledge to anybody that's been over to the All-Stars, that the Dalmatian section actually has 101 Dalmatians featured.
I absolutely believe it, but I'd love to go and count them.
Yeah, we counted them one day.
All right, good.
Was,
then you know.
I was like, wow. And it was just one of those attention
and
to details.
The big Fergie and Pondo count, that's 2 of them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it's spread throughout the rest of those. I think it's 4 buildings on the sides. They're kind of those little cutouts.
Yes,
that are all throughout.
Yes.
So
I know exactly
it's pretty cool. But those are Disney's attention to details.
That's you got to love that.
How do you feel about all the changes that have occurred coming out of the pandemic? From everything from losing things like Magical Express to, Genie Plus to, I mean, we've lost a lot, we've gained a lot. Are you happy with the state of things?
Things have changed.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, what do you call it? A new normal. It is what it is. Some things aren't going to come back. I miss Tables in Wonderland.
Oh,
I was always a Tables in Wonderland person. I loved it. I still have a card here.
Yeah.
Just because Tables in Wonderland was so awesome. Magical Express is a huge miss by Disney.
Yeah.
There's my Tables card right there. Oh, you can't see it.
I love it.
It's a huge miss. I don't know what Disney was thinking there, because that was the bubble started at the airport.
Yep.
Right. You landed and you were in the bubble immediately that took you to Disney, and they had you trapped, quote unquote, so that you'd be on their transportation. Now, if you're going Mears, what's the difference between going to a Disney resort and going to a Universal resort?
Yeah.
I just think they opened themselves up for a lot of. They opened themselves up and they didn't need to.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking there.
Yeah.
Clearly it was cost. Somebody was looking at I thought that would come back by now. I don't think it's going to come back. Yeah.
Yeah. I only got to ride it once because being local enough that we drive there, but I had to fly out to New York for work from the trip one time. And then Rhonda was going to take the kids home. And it was like I had to get up at 3:30 or something to be on the Magical Express. Yeah. But of course, leaving it and being the Tragical Express, it's not as great. But I do remember just being like
Tragical Express.
Imagine
the 3 hours killed me.
Yeah. Yeah. That was rough.
Yeah. You would land. Yeah. You would land and you'd go straight to get it and get on, and it was Disney from there on out, because you already had the video of when you arrive at your resort, here's what you're going to do, and you're going to check in here, and there's where you get your Magic Band, and this is how you use it, right? Even today, if you go to Mears to the shuttle, it's an Orlando vacation now. It's no longer a Disney vacation. You're watching SeaWorld commercials when you land.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a botched opportunity they could easily bring back.
But it is what it is. What else would I change? I mean, look,
I know.
Genie Plus is paid Fast Pass. That's what it is.
Yeah.
How long did we hear rumors for the old Fast Pass Plus? If you stayed at Deluxe, you're going to get 6. If you stayed at Moderate, you're going to get 3. And those things never quite worked out.
Right.
I guess they've done something similar with the after hours magic hours now, because you have to be at a deluxe resort to be able to stay the 3 extra hours.
Yeah. I feel like that's how they're kind of treating it. And that's one of those things that, we've been fortunate enough to stay at all but 2 Disney resorts. We stayed,
2?
So we have not stayed at Grand Flow and we've not stayed at Riviera.
Nice.
So, and we stay at all levels depending on the vacation. Most of the time we're hitting an all-star because it's the cheapest and we go down often enough. But, I understand the levels, and a lot of people seem to get upset. Like, why did Deluxe get these extra hours? Well, they're paying a premium, and that's often what comes with a premium. And I find it interesting that Disney now tiers something like your resorts, but they've yet to really, truly, outside of blockouts, tier pass holders. Like every pass holder outside of blockouts is exactly the same. And it's something I actually do like over at Universal, where different tiers who are spending more money get different or better benefits than some of the others. It's
sure.
It's kind of where
I've never had an annual pass at Universal.
Yeah, we're getting ready to drop them. We're actually we are going for our last trip. We're going to tomorrow night with some good friends of ours, taking all the kids.
Very cool.
And we're going to do 2 nights come home Friday, and it's going to be our last trip till we drop it, just because right now financially it's just not smart for us to hold on to those.
I understand.
And all our content is Disney. So
yeah, I get it.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll do one more before we
All
get
right.
into a quick rapid fire
Rapid
little
fire.
questions. But excuse me, do you have any Disney related tattoos? If so, what? If not, would you ever get one?
I do not. I've not really considered it. I don't have any.
Okay.
What would I get? I don't know.
Muppets?
I don't know, man. Probably just a hidden Mickey.
Yeah.
I mean, just something simple like that. Nothing elaborate, just something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, but I don't.
That's great though. All right. Rapid fire before we close this one out, because this has been,
how's this
so
work?
much fun so far. I'll ask you a quick thing. They're all favorites. You just first one
okay.
that
What's
comes
my
to
favorite?
mind.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like, what's your favorite Disney snack?
Popcorn on Main Street.
Oh, I love it. Favorite
Got to be on Main Street. Otherwise, I might get a pretzel or I might get a churro, or Dole Whip.
Yeah.
So we could go
hard to
land
pick.
by land for that.
You really could.
Adventureland, it's a Dole Whip. Over in Tomorrowland, it's a jalapeno pretzel.
I've still never had the jalapeno pretzel. Somehow.
Very good, very
Yeah,
good, right
I've
there at
heard good
Anti-Gravities.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I got to put it on my list. What is currently your favorite park?
Currently Epcot.
Okay. Your
World
favorite
Celebration Garden, love it.
Yo, it is outstanding. Your favorite attraction?
Favorite attraction.
And we'll say
right
currently
now.
open attraction, not anything from the past.
Yeah, favorite attraction. Oh boy, Guardians is right there. Although, it's going to be when you go over to Rise of Resistance and you understand the story and you know what they're doing behind the scenes, and it's working, it's phenomenal.
Yes. I just said this recently because we wrote it for the first time in probably like a year. And it ran to perfection, basically, that it can now.
It's the
it
best.
can't be beat. Yeah.
It is the best. It's a ride. It's the story. It's not the ride. It's the story of being recruited and how it ties in. And that's amazing what they tried to do, even with Star Cruiser, but really didn't work out. And I tell people this a lot, especially other Star Wars fans. So do you know that at the end of The Last Jedi, General Hux was in charge of the Star Destroyer. Then when we get to The Rise of Skywalker, it's oh man, I'm blanking on the Admiral. I forget his name. Hux is no longer in charge of the Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Right. And the question is why? But because of the Battle of Batuu.
Right.
That's why. Because he lost that battle, and the Supreme Leader got mad at him and said, "You're no longer in charge. I'm putting this guy, Admiral Pyatt. P-I-T. And anyway, it's part of the story. I love that. And I tell people that, and like their minds are blown. Like, holy cow, really? It ties in like that? Yes, the Battle of Batuu is a real thing. And you just lived through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously, you just lived through it. That is outstanding. Okay, now we will go to your favorite past or defunct attraction that has closed.
Original Figment, Journey into Imagination, although at the same time, World of Motion was phenomenal. And World of Motion, when you peel back the onion and realize that was Ward Kimball and his work and the humor that he brought to that. And if you watch that Disney Family album of Ward Kimball and what he's doing, it's a toss-up between those two, but it's definitely two old school Epcot attractions in World of Motion and Original Imagination.
All right. What is your favorite quick service restaurant on property?
On property, holy cow. On property versus by park, because I'm usually ready to answer that question.
You could go anywhere. We can go anywhere. We can go parks, resorts. You can go Disney Springs.
Service restaurant. No, I'm sticking away from Springs.
Yeah.
And it depends. I love the fish and chips over at in Epcot.
Yeah,
those are the best.
Oh,
Yorkshire, it is so good. But then I also love a good a good waffle over at
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow, yes. Not the fruit and Nutella, but the other one. There's another one.
Spicy chicken.
Yes,
Sweet
that is really good. Super good. I'll get a pretzel anywhere too. There's so many. I mean, that's the thing. If you come back, this was early on, 10 years ago. family would say, "Oh yeah, we just had burgers and hot dogs all day." I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't even know where I could find a burger again and again.
I know.
Where are you going for this stuff? There's some of the best food ever
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And what we always talk about too, I mean, we're so fortunate. We go about twice a month. We usually go for 2 or 3 days at a time.
Super cool.
But
Super
we
cool.
still we just ate at Pecos Bill last weekend for the first time in probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Like it's crazy that you can constantly relive and redo things even though you go so often. Which I think is something else that just is what makes it so magical down there. Like,
all right, I got another quick service. And I will go out of my way, even if I'm at Epcot, I will leave to go get a Ronto wrap.
Oh yeah.
Love a Ronto wrap over in Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, they're outstanding. All right, so favorite table service restaurant?
Favorite table service?
That could be regular table or fine signature dining or
yeah.
anything
So signature diving. One of the best meals I've ever had was my wife and I over at the Yachtsman Steakhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love the Yachtsman, the only in-house butcher, some of the best steaks ever. Even with Shula's right around the corner, I know that it's some of the best ever. Yak and Yeti is also a family favorite.
Yep.
One of the best. And in those regards, I will say that my kids will tell you that Nine Dragons is one of their favorite restaurants in
We
Magic,
used to go over and over when the kids were younger. That was their go-to every time.
And people don't like it. They give it a bad rap, but it's good.
It is.
And no problem with it.
Yeah.
And you know what? A pizza, I could just keep going with a pizza over at Via Napoli.
Oh, yeah.
The best.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Your favorite resort? Disney resort.
My home DVC resort is the Boardwalk.
Okay.
But I will say I like the Yacht Club.
Yes.
Or Beach Club, one of those two, just because of the pool. It's amazing.
Oh,
but the Epcot Resorts area, I think, is the most overlooked area anywhere, even before the Skyliner, because those friendship boats were the best. And I'll tell you the biggest secret that I would tell people, and they'd be like, really? You could push your stroller right onto a friendship boat and leave the kid in it. Yeah. That is amazing, right? You just push it right on, and that's awesome. Now you can do the same with the Skyliner, but it opens up a different set of resorts. But I like the Epcot Resort area.
Yeah, for sure. All right, your favorite Disney character?
Darth Vader or Mickey Mouse.
Okay. And finally,
is Vader a Disney character?
Yeah, I mean, we have that debate a lot when we do certain episodes of bringing in everything from having Disney animation to Pixar to Star Wars to Marvel. I think it comes down to sometimes what the question is. And when you think about things like, you could meet Vader, then
you can.
Yeah. 100%.
Otherwise it's Mickey, or my kids call me Goofy. So I
that's great. That's what we called my dad, was Goofy.
There you go.
So that's great. Yeah. All right. Final one. What is your favorite Disney memory? I know that can be a loaded
one. Wow. It has to do, and having 3 children.
Oh yeah.
I can't pick one, but it is the points when you look at your child and their eyes are as big as saucers, and they're watching a parade or watching fireworks or watching their favorite character for the first time. That memory is golden. And I've had the opportunity to live it, not just through my kids, but through my nieces and nephews and friends. And you've been through that too. It's when that child sees that, whatever, or when Tinkerbell recognizes that my daughter's wearing a Tinkerbell outfit during the parade and stops and greets her. And those Disney memories are the favorite one. It's anything that has to do with family and the memory that it makes. That's why you keep going back.
Yeah.
That's it right there. So
and that clip right there, I know Disney has done this new marketing campaign that is so set up of actual people in the parks, but that right there and everything you just said could just be clipped and used as a Disney marketing campaign.
It could be. And I've seen that. And some of them I have on video of it happening. I can remember my daughter at Disneyland seeing Belle across the way. Disneyland's completely different when it comes to characters.
Right.
Disneyland, they're just kind of walking around. There's no lines. And Belle's walking past the castle. And my daughter, who's tiny at the time, 3 years old, and I forget what dress she was wearing, but she had a dress and a wand, and she's yelling, Belle, Belle, Belle. And Belle stops and turns around and gets down on her knees and gives her a big hug. And it's like, boom, there you go. Favorite Disney memory, man. But I got one of those for each of my boys too. So
yeah. That gives me
slightly different, but the same thing. Yeah, those are the goosebumps and the experience that you have that you relive again and again, and you go, man, I can't wait to live that again.
Yeah,
awesome.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for your time. This has been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about you since we just kind of
fun.
met a couple months ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to seeing you down there sometime.
Well, let everybody know where they can find you, your website, YouTube, any social channels.
Yeah, the website is samsdisneydiary.com and youtube.com/samsdisneydiary. Lots of things there right now from the Epcot International Festival of the Arts, with more coming from Flower and Garden Festival coming up, which I can't wait to see what's going on this year.
Yeah.
Although Celebration Garden Communicore Plaza and Communicore Hall are not quite open yet, but hopefully we're going to see those soon.
I hope so. Well, Sam, thank you again. And hopefully I will get a chance to connect with you in the parks very soon, but I know we'll be connecting online plenty coming up.
Thank you, Jeremy. I absolutely appreciate it. Thanks for the time. And thanks, everybody. Congaloosh.
What another amazing conversation in our Journey into Imagination series, where we talk with content creators and more from all over the Disney and theme park community. Thank you again, Sam, for joining me today. Everyone, make sure you go out and you follow Sam on YouTube, visit his website, social media. While you're there, go ahead and follow us on social media at Main ST Magic or on our TikTok at MSM Podcast. Then if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, you get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And then I know that myself, Rhonda, and I'm sure Sam would be super thankful if you could please leave us a rating and review, because it really does help the show grow. That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.